Hey guys, how's it going? Doing a review today, actually. Um, Kind of a simplified review, I guess. I'm gonna link in the description my full written review on the Warp Zone website that I've kind of been single-handedly been trying to keep alive, waiting for some more people to the old staff to finish up with school, and then we're gonna try and get it back running 100%. I'm doing my best, and I hope if anybody checks it out, that they're enjoying the stuff that I post. It's mostly been news stuff, just a lot of stuff dealing with the PlayStation Network being down and the new Nintendo console and whatnot. But pretty soon, I'm going to try and focus more on reviews as much as I can. But anyway, so I hope everybody is checking that out, and if not, then you should start because I kind of want to see the numbers start to go up, especially moving now towards. Definitely join us on for E3 last year. I don't know if there was a few people who came out. We set up a chat room and stuff like that, so we're going to be watching that together. So definitely check that out if you didn't make it last year, try and make it this year. But anyway, the game I'm going to be talking about is Mortal Kombat, the new reboot. This came out last week along with Portal and SOCOM and the Conduit. It was a big week. I didn't buy any of them. I actually rented this, as you can see. Um, but I really have no interest in Portal, and I have zero interest in SOCOM. So this was the one that I wanted to check out. I wanted to get a review up and maybe try and get some views to the site with a new release and whatnot. But um, but anyway, so I'm going to be looking at my review. I'm kind of using this as like a as an outline so I don't really go too scatterbrained. But first off, graphically the game is fantastic. It goes back to being a 2D fighter. I know the last couple, the last handful, I guess, have been 3D, and this moves back to just regular 2D Mortal Kombat, and it has a lot to do with the success of Street Fighter 4. Most fighters right now have a lot to be thankful for with Street Fighter 4 being so successful that it really has reinvigorated the genre, especially the 2D stuff. And I don't think I mean I could be wrong, but I really don't think that it had Street Fighter not been as successful. I don't know if we would have this game right here, and so definitely have to thank Street Fighter and Capcom for doing that. But so this brings it back to 2D, and it's just back to the old style. I haven't played a Mortal Kombat game in I don't know how long. I didn't even play DC versus DC Universe. Um, but it goes back to if there's the uppercuts and the sweep kicks and stuff like that. And you can string together some combos and stuff like that. But Mortal Kombat has always really been about just kicking and punching. At least for me, it's my personal. I'm not a huge fighting fan, but when I used to play Mortal Kombat, 1 and 2 and 3 on the Super Nintendo, that's basically how I played. Obviously, I was a kid, so it's a little different. But in this game, you can you can string your combos and stuff together. But I still just like to in a sense just mash buttons together and just try and beat the other guy before he drain his life before he drains mine. But there's really good combos and stuff like that. You just have to pause the game and the whole move list pops up. So it's not like it's not. I don't think it's as bad as Street Fighter. I can't do Street Fighter combos. That's twisting the analog stick and stuff like that in certain directions. This is just face buttons and it's you use the D-pad and stuff like that, but it's just left, up, left, triangle, square, R2, and you have a move. So it's not too bad. It's really not. The Moving on to the fighters themselves look really great. Everything, the motion capture stuff is great. If you know, it's a game where when you punch somebody, you actually feel like you're punching somebody. When you get punched, you feel your character's pain in a sense. Um, there's just when you fly up after hitting an uppercut on some when your opponent or you flies up, it comes back down. It feels that crash, which is cool. Um, I think the coolest part of the game, combat wise, is hands down the X-ray moves. Basically, as you fight and you take damage and you give damage, you have a little power bar at the bottom that fills up, and once it's full, you just you get into a certain stance where you have to, some guys you have to be behind them, others in front of them, some of them are in the air, whatever. You activate your X-ray move, and it's just a brutal, you know um, just very violent, you know, little sequence that goes on. It goes into an X-ray vision, and you see, your fist crack against someone's leg, and it snaps, or you step on their skull, and that, like, does, like, the spider web cracks and stuff like that. It's really gruesome, and honestly, it never really gets old. I have to relate it to in Limbo, when you die in Limbo, and you just never really feel too bad that you died because it's so gruesome, that you don't really mind seeing it. And that's basically how this is too. It's just brutal. Um, right when you fill the X-ray meat, like, the bar, you want to just pull it off to see it, to see how bad it is, and it's pretty sick. And there's the fatalities and stuff like that as well that Mortal Kombat's always been used to. It has a good story as well, which is definitely something that Marvel vs. Capcom 3, the other big fighter released this year, really lacked. It uh, it reimagines it, not really reimagines, but kind of goes back in time and goes over the original three games, the storyline of that, and basically the game opens up after the events of I guess Mortal Kombat 3, and Raiden sees what happens, and he sends a message back in time before the whole Mortal Kombat tournament started, and you have to try and just go back and change the events. Basically, the story mode is it's played, I think, over 16 chapters, and each chapter is a different fighter, so you get their part of the story and what they bring to the story and whatnot. In my opinion, this is good and bad. It's good because it's great for the narrative, and it really tells the story very well. But at the same time, you're always trying to figure out somebody else's move list and get used to somebody, a different character, which is kind of tough, because there were times where I got really used to a character, namely a Scorpion. I was really used to him. I had his moves down. I was winning everything. And then his part of the story ended, and I had to go and play as somebody else. And you have to get used to somebody else kind of on the fly, because the story doesn't progress unless you beat your character. You beat your opponent, obviously. So that was a little bit of a bummer. But at the same time, I got exposed to characters I probably wouldn't have picked. So after a while, you learn them, but you learn them, and then before you know it, you're playing as somebody else, and it's like, all right, I have to start back from square one. So it has its positives and its negatives, but more positive, I guess, than negative. Um, but So there's other types of modes as well. There's just the classic Mortal Kombat gauntlet. You start at the bottom, you beat 10 guys, you have a boss fight, and then each character has their own character specific ending, which is cool. So the perfectionists out there, they're gonna play it with every single character and get the most out of each ending. So that's definitely cool. And then there's also Challenge Tower. Basically, there's about 300 challenges that you have to go through. What that means is, the early challenges, you just have to, block five. For example, you have to block five moves, and you have to string together, X amount of combos and beat this guy in X amount of time. Stuff like that. Just little challenges, but they get pretty difficult. Um, so there's as you go up, you're gonna get different challenges, and it keeps things very interesting. It's always different, so that's pretty cool. It's kind of like I just want to do one more challenge, just want to do one more challenge. If you can't do it, you just try and do it again. It just has that really, it just has that addictiveness to it, which is really good. Um, I obviously played on the PlayStation 3. I prefer the PlayStation 3 controller to the Xbox 360 controller for fighters, solely based because it's easier to perform the combos using the D-pad on the PS3. It's just easier to do it, in my opinion. Other people probably won't feel that way. It's my opinion. That's how I felt. And honestly, I didn't choose that really even by choice. This was the only thing that my Blockbuster had in stock. The Xbox 360 versions were all taken out, rented out. I wasn't able to play online because of the PlayStation Network being down. But it's just basically the same game, just played against other people, and I would probably lose. So I really wasn't too upset with that. You can also play this in 3D, and it has exclusive content because you can play as Kratos, and he has his own, I guess, fighting level, which is cool. bottom line, this game is just fun. I had fun with Marvel vs. Capcom, but I didn't love it at the same time. This you can just pick up and play, and it's just fun. It's like a very '90s fighter. It's great. It's definitely it's my favorite fighter in a really really long time. It in my opinion, it really blew Marvel vs. Capcom 3 out of the water, especially with its story. The story on top of that lasts about 7 or 8 hours, which is just awesome. So if I had to give, if I gave the game an A, I really think it's an A game. Um, there's just so much stuff to do. If you don't, even if you just want to play with friends, you can just do that. I didn't even touch on that because I haven't. But there's just so much stuff to do in this game. The story, the challenge tower, the just arcade, the online, the gauntlet stuff. There's just so much stuff packed into this. Um, any old Mortal Kombat fan would definitely feel at home. I mean, it's the same gruesomeness that we saw, 15, 20 years ago, just made for 2011. So, great game. I highly recommend it. If you're a fighting fan, if you're a Mortal Kombat fan, definitely check it out. So, guys, I hope you enjoyed the review. If you want to read the full review, I guess in text form, if you want to read this video, click onto the link in the bottom. Check out the warpzone.wordpress.com. Comment the stories, share the stories. Tell me what you think, and I'll see you guys soon.